Hey, you know what? I've been thinking lately. We take saving in games for granted nowadays. We got checkpoints and autosaves every couple of steps, and the dedicated save point is, in some cases, a literal relic of the past. I even missed the little animated icons the PS2 would have when looking through your memory card. Look at him go. And him. And him. At least we don't live in the Stone Age with passwords for saves anymore. Jesus Christ. One thing I always thought was really cool that doesn't really get talked about much is save data bonuses. It was almost like a little thank you or reward for your loyalty to a series or company, and it's something of a lost art nowadays, and that's what I want to look through today. There's lots of types of save data bonuses for us to look through, so let's start with one of the most common ones. Lots of games nowadays will release with a demo to their digital storefronts and let you transfer your progress from it so you can start with a leg up in the early game or skip early chapters entirely. I noticed this in particular with RPGs like Dragon Quest XI, Octopath Traveler 2, and Unicorn Overlord lately. So overall, not much to talk about as these are pretty straightforward. The next most common form is carrying over progress from one game to the next. This can be decisions you made having an effect in the sequel, like a Telltale game, or carrying over your old created character, like in Dragon Ball Xenoverse 1 and 2. One of the earliest, if not the earliest game to do this, was Sonic 3 and Knuckles, which allowed you to carry over your emeralds you found in Sonic 3 in order to earn the Super Emeralds and unlock Hypersonic through Sega's patented lock-on technology. Mass Effect allows your story decisions to carry over from the first game all the way to the third one, and certain decisions from each game allows for peace between the Geth and the Quarians. But that doesn't compare to the story of Conrad Vernon, a Shepard superfan who starts off a bit overbearing and annoying, but slowly becomes a selfless hero who sacrifices himself for Shepard.
Shepard, did I help?
Actually, I sabotaged his gun. It might have looked like it fired, but that was just the thermal clip overheating.
It's the thought that counts. .hack, also known as Sword Art Online if it locked the fuck in instead of doing that whole Elfheim storyline, has a continuous story that begins in Infection and continues into the fourth and final chapter, Quarantine. Every sequel allows you to transfer your levels, equipment, money, and more, but if you start without transferring, you start off with a predetermined level and build. One of the most unique ones, however, is how Resident Evil Outbreak allowed you to transfer your collection data, including costumes and NPCs, back and forth between the original and its sequel/expansion, File 2, and would have continued into File 3 had it not been cancelled. Sometimes, instead of a full transfer though, some games will just give you a small head start to help you out in the early game as a thank you for having played a previous game in the series. The Yakuza games give you consumables for the early game when you have previous games' save data, and Persona 5 Royal rewards players who upgraded from the vanilla version with 50,000 yen and various healing items right off the bat. Tales of Symphonia Dawn of the New World does this in a pretty weird way too. In the original Wii version, if your GameCube memory card is plugged in with save data from the original Symphonia, you get a random set of items including XP boosts, healing items, or Gald. Remember when I mentioned demos earlier? Those are usually a chunk of the main story taken out for players to try out before the release, but sometimes specialized demos or even prologues are released that give you stuff for the real game later down the line. During the 3DS era, Pokemon made special demo versions for both Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, and Sun and Moon, which gave you a unique little experience with its own self-contained story, while also allowing you to transfer exclusive Pokemon and items to the main games once those came out. Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire gave you a Steelix and a Glalie that can Mega Evolve, along with some early game items such as Pokeballs, Heart Scales, and Nuggets. The Sun and Moon special demo version gave you an exclusive Greninja with the ability Battle Bond, which allowed it to transform into Ash Greninja from the anime, along with similar items to the previous demo. Dead Rising 2 had a special prologue called Case Zero, released exclusively on the Xbox 360 that takes place 3 years prior to the beginning of the main game. In it, protagonist Chuck Green is trying to get to Fortune City with his daughter Katie, but gets stuck in the small town of Desert Creek and have to find Zombrex for Katie while finding a way to get out. Once completed, you could transfer your level, combo cards, and money to the full game. Side tangent, Dead Rising 2 is one of my favorite games of all time, and I used to rent the shit out of this from Redbox back in the day. So much so, my mom just ended up buying the game because we would have spent the same amount of money with the amount of times I would just rent this game over and over again. Strangely enough, when Dead Rising 2 was ported to PS4 and Xbox One, neither this nor the epilogue Case West were included, and they're stuck on Xbox 360 through backwards compatibility. Dissidia Duodecim Prologus Final Fantasy, Jesus Christ, that title, was a prequel released on PSP to tie in with the then upcoming Dissidia Duodecim Final Fantasy. It featured an exclusive story following newcomer Lightning and returning veteran Warrior of Light, in a scenario dubbed Chapter 0 of the main game story. You're able to transfer any accessories you earn in the demo to the full game, along with being able to transfer your previous levels and unlocks from the first Dissidia to Duodecim. This is sort of a cheat, but I'm counting it. Aerith as an assist character is only usable after purchasing Prologus, but that's a separate download, rather than an unlock from transferring your save to the full game. Some games go the extra mile and unlock completely exclusive content you can't unlock otherwise you own the other game. That, or you borrowed or rented the game from someone else in order to unlock it, but I won't tell if you won't tell. LEGO Star Wars 2, the original trilogy, sequel to the award-winning LEGO Star Wars video game, allowed you to buy the Use Old Save bonus in the Cantina for 250,000 studs to unlock all the characters you unlocked in the original game. The game also released on the 360, but since it didn't have the first game in its library, you could just buy this as a $1 DLC instead. However, this feature would be basically made obsolete by the next year with the release of LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga. War of the Monsters, a PS2 kaiju arena fighter filling the void left by Godzilla Destroy All Monsters Melee being on everything but PlayStation 2, had a skin for the character Agamo based on Sweet Tooth from Twisted Metal, and unlocked with a save file from Twisted Metal Black. WWE Legends of WrestleMania allowed you to import basically the entire male roster from SmackDown vs. Raw 2009, not counting DLC characters, into the game if you had save data for it, and let you set up dream matches splitting across different WWE eras. Silent Hill 3 has an exclusive cutscene that's a callback to a scene from Silent Hill 2 that's only unlockable if you have a save file from that game. The original scene in Silent Hill 2 had James Sutherland reach into a toilet to find a wallet in order to solve the safe puzzle.
Who would even think of doing something so disgusting?
Going from one Konami game to another, one of Metal Gear Solid's most famous scenes involves the character Psycho Mantis reading your PlayStation 1 memory card to you. As long as it was a Konami game too.
You like Castlevania, don't you?
And was even included in the Twin Snakes on GameCube to include Nintendo and Silicon Knights games.
Did you enjoy playing Eternal Darkness?
Pokemon has been able to let you transfer your Mons from Ruby and Sapphire up to Scarlet and Violet, unlocking some exclusive minigames along the way. Some of these games will even acknowledge the game of origins for these Pokemon, such as transferring from the original game up to their remakes with Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, and Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. Pokemon is not really known for true save game bonuses, unless you want to count those phone cases if you really wanted to. However, there were 2 times you could legitimately sync your save data in order to unlock exclusive content in a Pokemon game. The first of these was in Black and White 2 with its Memory Link system. Memory Link allowed you to connect your Black and White 1 save to Black and White 2 and unlock exclusive scenes that explain what's changed in Unova in the 3 years between the games, like how Iris became a gym leader or why Elisa changed her look. Having a 100% completed save from Pokemon Legends Arceus. No, I refuse to pronounce it the correct way. Battle Revolution said Arceus, and I'm sticking with that pronunciation to the grave.
Arceus!
You could unlock the Azure Flute in Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. This was originally a cut event item from Generation 4 that would have allowed you to battle Arceus, but was abandoned in favor of just distributing Arceus, but now makes its return and allows you to legitimately catch a shiny Arceus for the first time.
Shiny Arceus! Shiny Arceus is here! Arceus, Arceus, Arceus! No, unacceptable.
There are plenty of other save data bonuses for games across generations, and I just can't list them all. However, I do want to highlight something that kinda teeters on it, but not quite. I swear it's not the same thing even if that sounds like it, just hear me out here. The PlayStation 2 version of Budokai Tenkaichi 3 had an exclusive feature called Disc Fusion, which allowed you to unlock exclusive ladders to fight through based on similar modes from Budokai Tenkaichi's 1 and 2. The Wii version of BT3 instead got Wi-Fi multiplayer, and I can only imagine the PowerPoint levels of lag.
Oh my god, bro. Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man? Get your ass on, boy. Get your goddamn ass on.
Yeah, I think PS2 got the better feature. The Monster Rancher series had a feature where you could summon monsters through items called Disc Stones, which allowed you to insert another disc into the system and spawn a new monster. One of the coolest examples I found when I was looking through this was in Monster Rancher 4 with this little owl creature called Alden. Okay, guess how you summon him. I'm serious, guess. So you either insert a copy of Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets on DVD, or the Chamber of Secrets PS2 game to unlock it.
What a time to be alive.
Perfect Dark on the Nintendo 64 had 4 cheats which were notoriously difficult to unlock in the game, those being All Guns, Art Tracker, Cloaking Device, and Hurricane Fists. However, you could instantly unlock these cheats if you used the Nintendo 64 transfer pack and linked with the Game Boy Color version of Perfect Dark instead. The Xbox Live Arcade version allows for a similar feature by having those cheats unlocked if your 360 had a save data for Perfect Dark Zero instead. In a case of what could have been, Banjo-Kazooie was meant to connect to its sequel, Banjo-Tooie, by transferring 6 secret eggs and an ice key by swapping cartridges while the Nintendo 64 was still on, due to RAM lingering in the system's internal memory after removing a cartridge, but this was cut due to the possibility of damaging the system and a then upcoming console revision that would have cleared the console's RAM quicker, making it near impossible to achieve its intended effect. The Xbox Live Arcade releases would eventually bring back this feature by simply reading the save data on the hard drive in order to unlock gamer pics and a theme. That was definitely worth a decades-long wait. And finally, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Tag Force series on PSP had the UMD recognition system, which allowed you to insert a previous game in the series in order to unlock exclusive cards and characters, which lasted all the way from the first game to the 6th and final game in that series. There are so many more examples of save data bonuses, I couldn't possibly list them all here, so let me know in the comments which ones were your favorites, or if there were any that I missed that you think should have been in the video. Thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you soon.